Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Neetu Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Gurudev. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Chinmay Brajapriya Mataji. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vilasini Devi Dasi from Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Welcome to the call. So nice to have you back. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, Chinmay Brajapriya Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. There's love Prabhupada. This is Preethi Vilasini Devi Dasi from
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Waiting to hear from you today. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Gurudev. Thank you, Mataji, for giving your time and association, and welcome to the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga, and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashomati Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Gurudev. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Thank you for joining.
I don't know what they are doing.
Hare Krishna,
Hey,
Chinmay
Judy, don't
Brajapriya
even ask me. I don't know
Mataji.
what's...
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, and to all the assembled devotees. This is Megha from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Megha Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Gurudev. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, Chinmay Brajapriya Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karna Devi Dasi from Lincoln.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Karuna Devi Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Gurudev. Welcome to the call, Mataji, and thank you for your services. Okay. If no one is wanting to introduce themselves anymore, let's move on to our next session, which is a class on Caitanya Bhagavata by Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Devi Dasi Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Welcome to the call. Thank you, Mataji, for giving your valuable time and association. And today, Mataji will be talking on 15th chapter from text 72 to 125, Mataji. And before I hand over the call to you, let me read Srila Prabhupada's quote for today, Mataji, with your permission. So the quote for today is, Krishna is offering by his descent that if you want to enjoy like this in the society of beautiful young boys and girls, come to me. Here it is, reality. And this is said by His Divine Grace on Los Angeles on January 2nd, 1974. Thank you, Mataji. Eagerly waiting to hear from you. Please take over, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Chinmay Brajapriya Mataji, and thanks to all the devotees for this very wonderful opportunity to glorify Srimad Mahaprabhu. We'll start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Devshatarini. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. My humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas on the call. Please bless me so that I may be able to repeat the words of scripture as it is. Thank you all so much. Ajanulambita bhujao kanakavadatao sankirtanaika pitarao kamalayadakshao Vishwambharao dvijavarao yugadharmapalao Vande jagatpriyakarao karunavatarao Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandro Jayati Jayati Kirti Stasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhritya Stasya Vishveshwamurte Jayati Jayati Nritya Tasya Sarva Priyanam. So we are reading from Sri Caitanya Bhagavata that was very beautifully composed by Vrindavan Das Thakur and nicely commented by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we'll be covering about 50 verses, and today is just going to be the marriage ceremony, the preparation for the marriage ceremony of Nimai Pandit and Vishnu Priya. So we're just going to stick to what is there in Chaitanya Bhagavat. It will just be reading the verse and trying to meditate on how the marriage ceremony was actually conducted. So that's all is the agenda for today. So just keep your ears open and try to meditate on how this marriage ceremony could have happened some years back. So reading from Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, chapter 15, verse number 72. E vivaha panditera karibahe na raja kumarera mata loke dhike yena. I will make such arrangements for the marriage of Nimai Pandit that he will appear like a prince in the eyes of the people. So question, everyone likes interactive, right? Who is the person who's talking this? If you heard the previous class. Anyone remembers?
Is it Buddhimanta?
Perfect. Yes, Buddhimanta Khan. I just thought I'll scroll back to show you all. But yes, it is Buddhimanta Khan. So Buddhimanta Khan said that he will take on the expenses, and Mukunda Sarkar also offered that he will take on the responsibility for making arrangements and taking care of the entire marriage ceremony. See, in those days, not only in those days, even today, in fact, today it is even worse. It's very expensive, right? Conducting a marriage ceremony. So a simple Brahmana's marriage ceremony would not be so opulent in one sense, because Brahmanas in those time and age, they were not very well-to-do. So the general expectation is that it would be a very simple marriage. However, Buddhimanta Khan, he came forward and he said, I will make excellent arrangements for the Lord's marriage that it will appear like the marriage of a prince in the eyes of the people. So this was the love and affection that people had for Nimai Pandit in Navadvip area. Tabe sabe mili shubha dina shubha kshane adivasa lagna karila hashamane. So then, once they decided that they're going to conduct this marriage ceremony, everybody, they agreed on an auspicious day and time to observe the Adivas ceremony. So the Adivas ceremony is actually a ceremony that is performed before the main event occurs. Like, for example, even in our new Panihati Dam in Atlanta, before the Panihati festival begins, there is a festival called as the Adivasa ceremony. So the Adivas ceremony is conducted the day before the actual festival begins. So it is like an invocation for the entire festival. So let's see what Adikanda chapter 10 verse number 80 says. So this is chapter 10, actually it's verse number 79. On the auspicious day, they held the Adivas ceremony, during which people danced and sang while musicians played. So during this Adivas ceremony, sandalwood pulp and flower garlands are offered to the groom and the bride. So that is the main part of the ceremony that is conducted during this Adivasa Lagna. So they decided that they would soon have the Adivasa Lagna on a nice muhurta. So that was the decision that everyone came up to. Bada bada chandrapata sabitanga iya Chaturdike Ruilena Kadali Aniya. A huge pandal was erected with banana trees placed in the 4 directions. So this is how the Adivas ceremony begins. So any ceremony, marriage ceremony in India, you must have seen that before the actual marriage happens, there is something called as the Pandal Kal. Pandal meaning the erecting the pandal. Okay. So in all marriage ceremonies, you must have seen this. In the house of the groom and the bride, usually a pandal is actually erected. And on the 4 legs of the pandal, where they put the pandal, they also tie banana trees. So that is what was the mark of the beginning of this wedding. So here Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says that the word Ruilena is a singular past tense of the word roya. The verb roya is a local corruption of ropena, which comes from the Sanskrit word ruha, which means planted. So they drill a hole in the soil, and then they put a pole, they erect the pandal, and they tie banana stem with the leaves to that particular pandal. So that's how the ceremonies are conducted even to this day. So this marks the beginning of an auspicious event. Purnagata Dipadanya Dadiyamar Sara Yate Kamangala Dravya Chaye Prachara. They decorated the marriage arena with water pots, ghee lamps, rice paddy, yogurt, mango leaves, and other auspicious items. So Amsara refers to the leaves and twigs of a mango tree. So all of this, paddy, yogurt, mango leaves, ghee, all this is a sign of auspiciousness. Like you must have heard, when Krishna was born, everybody in Vrajabhumi, they were actually throwing yogurt and butter on each other, and they were playing with milk products. So generally milk products are considered very, very auspicious. And not only that, ghee lamps, rice, paddy. So, like for example, if they want to bless someone, you sprinkle rice mixed with turmeric, right? So all of these are very auspicious items. During any festival, all these items are collected and they are stocked up in great quantity. So the decorations were made with banana trees, or with the stem of the banana with some leaves, and also mango leaves. Again, it's something that we follow even to this day in different parts of India, where the doorways are decorated with mango leaves, which is a sign of auspicious. Takala ekatare anikari samuchaya sarva bhumikari lena alipanamaya. They further decorated the arena with designs drawn with colored powders, right? Rangoli. So this is another thing in any festival or even on a day-to-day basis in India, we decorate our homes, the entrance of our homes with rangoli, with beautiful designs. The word alipana, from the Sanskrit word alimpana, refers to the marking or drawing of various designs with rice powder on the floor or on the walls of one's house or a temple. It is called as alpana or alipana. The phrase samuchaya kari means accumulating, collecting, counting, or amassing. So they collected mango leaves, they collected lots of yogurt, they collected these banana stem and leaves, and they also decorated the entrance of the house and the walls with beautiful rangoli designs. Yateka Vaishnava Ara, Yateka Brahmana, Navadvipe Aiche, Yateka Sujana, Sabayeri Mantrana, Karila Sakale, Adivase Guya Asikahi Bhavikale. All the Vaishnavas, Brahmanas, and respected people of Navadvip were invited. Come in the afternoon and chew the pan of the Adivas ceremony. So everybody in that area, after decorating the entrance of the house, they called on to everybody to come and preside over this Adivas ceremony. So the idea of calling them to come and chew the pan of Adivas ceremony is basically, pan is something for a bhogya. Bhogya means for enjoyment. So after eating a good meal, you chew pan, right? So they're telling, please come, please grace the occasion, come have a nice meal and chew the pan and enjoy yourselves. So this was an invitation to come and enjoy with family and other members. In this case, Vaishnava refers to those devotees of the Lord who are properly behaved, attached to worshipping Vishnu, and who are born in the seminal and non-seminal Brahmana families. So if you see this verse, why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is talking about Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, is that in this verse, it talks about two sets of people. It says, Yata Eka Vaishnava, Ara Yateka Brahmana. So the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas were invited to come, preside over the function, have a nice meal and chew pan. Why is there a difference between Vaishnava and Brahmana? For that, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells us that the word Vaishnava refers to all the devotees of the Lord. Anyone who's a devotee of Vishnu is a Vaishnava. Okay, Vishnu. So anybody who comes who's a devotee, who's a practicing devotee, sadhaka, everybody is a Vaishnava. However, those who are born only in the seminal lineage of Brahmana families were considered as Brahmanas. So both Brahmanas and Vaishnavas were actually invited. Now, who is better between the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas? It is obviously the Vaishnavas. The Vaishnavas are considered more superior than just an ordinary Brahmana who just comes in the seminal lineage, because a Vaishnava is the one who worships the Supreme Lord. Right? So we have heard this from Srila Prabhupada, that it is not enough if you're a Brahmana, you should be a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is much greater than a Brahmana. So everybody were invited. Vaishnavas were invited, and even so-called Brahmanas who were there from a seminal Brahmana family, all of them were invited to come and partake in this beautiful function. Aparana Kala Matra Haila Asiya Badiya Asikari Tela Gila Bajaniya. In the afternoon, on the day of the Adivas, the musicians all began to play their instrument. So all of them, again, this is a very common feature in all weddings. So you see there is a small place for the musicians to sit and they play different kinds of beautiful musical instruments while the wedding ceremony is happening. So even during the Adivas ceremony, there was a lovely kirtan and all the musicians had assembled there to play all the musical instruments. Now, what were the musical instruments that were played? Mridangasna, Chaini, Jayadhaka, Karatala Nana, Vida Vadya Dhvani, Uthila Vishala. What were the different instruments? The playing of various instruments like Mridanga, Shenai, Jayadhak, and Kartals created a tumultuous sound. So Mridanga, you all are very much aware of what Mridanga is. Shenai, it's a wind instrument. So that was there in all weddings, even in the South Indian weddings, you would see that there's something called, it's a wind instrument. I forget the name. Okay, it's very similar to Shenai. But all these wind instruments and drum instruments, percussion instruments, all of these different instruments are played in a wedding. Now, what is Jayadak? That we will see in the next verse. But you're all aware of kartals. So all these instruments were being played while the ceremony was going on. Bhata gane padite lagila rayavara pativrata gane kare jaya jaya kara. The professional blessers began to recite prayers and the chaste women made auspicious sound. So this auspicious sound is actually this particular word that we saw, Jayakar. So let's see what that auspicious sound is. So you must have all seen this even in our temples. So there are some Bengali devotees who would make a sound with their mouth. So have you heard that? So this kind of a sound is actually called as uludhvani. And the Bengali women always make uludhvani when the deities are worshipped or when there is something that is auspicious. So even in the villages, you must have heard of villagers gathering together and then doing the sound. So that kind of a sound is called as uludhvani. So they all in chorus, they made the sound and they were also using these wind instruments, and they were also using percussion instruments. So like this, they made beautiful auspicious sound. And the chanters, the Vedic reciters were chanting prayers. Vipragane lagila karite vedadvani madhye asi vilas vasila dvijendra kulamani. As the Brahmanas chanted the Vedic mantras, Vishwambhara, the crest jewel of all Brahmanas, came and sat in their midst. So you can imagine the most beautiful Lord Vishwambhara, decorated so beautifully. He came when all this auspicious music was created. Chaturdike vasilena brahmanena mandali sabe haila chitte maha kutuhali. The Brahmanas sat in groups around the Lord, and in this way, everyone was overjoyed at heart. So the minute they took darshan of this most beautiful Lord, everyone felt very, very happy in heart. Tabe gandha chandana tambula divyamala brahmana ganira sabe dibera nila. A guru, sandalwood paste, pan, and flower garlands were brought out and offered to the Brahmana. So aguru is a nice scent. Sandalwood paste, again, it is gandha. It is a beautiful scent. And then pan to chew, flower garlands for, for a good feel. All of this was brought in front of all the Brahmanas, and all the Brahmanas who had come, they were respected very nicely. Shire mala sarva ange lepiya chandane eka bata tambula se dena eko jane. The garlands were placed on their heads, their bodies were smeared with sandalwood paste, and each Brahmana was given a box of pan. Bata. Bata means a container box for keeping pan. This is also seen in traditional India. The older people, they have a special box where they keep the betel nut, the betel leaf, and then a little bit of calcium. What is that? Shuna, the calcium thing to make that color on the pan. So they always have a box where they have all these ingredients. So all the Brahmanas who had come, they were fed sumptuously, and everyone was given a separate box of pan to chew. Viprakula nadiya viprera anta nai kata yaya kata aise avadi na pai. Nadia was full of Brahmana families. So innumerable Brahmanas were present there. No one could count how many came and how many left. So Viprakula. Vipra is a full of caste Brahmanas. So Vipra, right? Vipra means one who is born in a Brahmana family. So they were full of caste Brahmanas, and Nadia was a place where so many Brahmanas were present. Tati madhye lobishta aneka jana ache eka bara laya puna arakacha kache. Among them, some greedy Brahmanas received their gifts, and then they returned a second time in different dress to again receive gifts. So this is another another interesting feature of many weddings. So in weddings, we give something called as a gift bag, a tambula, not only in weddings, today, even in any other function, like a birthday party or a griha pravesh. So what do? We give them some gifts, right, to the people who come. Now, some greedy Brahmanas, they wanted more gifts. So what they did was they would just take the gift, they would step out, change dress, and come back to receive another goodie bag. So this is what people were doing during Nimai Pandit's wedding. But do you think it was not noticed? Nimai Pandit noticed everything. Arabara asimaha loke ragahale chandana guvaka mala niya niya chale. In the ensuing commotion, they received sandalwood paste, pan, and flower garlands for the second time. They enjoyed getting the sandalwood paste on their face and the pan and the flower garlands. They wanted more and more. So the greedy Brahmanas, they came back again and again in the midst of the crowd so that they could get lots of this. Sabai anande mata ke kahara chine prabhu ho hasiya agnya karila apane. Everybody there was intoxicated with ecstasy, and they were not able to recognize one another. So much of enjoyment, right? Flower garlands, chandana, guru, and whatnot. So they were so intoxicated by this enjoyment that they were not even able to recognize each other. And the Lord was noticing all this, and he smiled, and he gave a very interesting instruction to all the Brahmanas. What did he say? Sabare chandana mala dehatina bara chinta nahi va vyaya kare ye icha yahara. एक बारा नियाये लय अरबारा ए अज्ञाना ताहारा कलीने प्रतिकारा पाचे केहा चिन्या विप्रेरा मंद बले प्रमाथार्थे दोषाहायस Tatya Kari Nile. He said, give sandalwood paste and garlands times, thrice to everyone. Don't worry about the expenditure. Give it freely to everyone. By this instruction, what did the Lord do? He indirectly forbade everyone from taking it again and again. The Lord said, if a Brahmana is caught cheating, he'll be criticized and he'll be disgraced. So the Lord is very sweet, actually. He wanted everybody to get all these garlands and all this tambula and everything more and more. But he didn't want them to get a bad name. Okay. See, if supposing they are caught cheating, then it would be a blemish on the Brahmana. So what did the Lord do? He told them, all of you can get it thrice. Okay, 3 times. Come again and get it 3 times. Don't worry about the expenditure. We'll give you as much as you want. But we don't want you to get a bad name. That, we don't want a bunch of people gossiping and telling, oh, look at this, that person, he already got it once, he came back again. What sort of Brahmana is he? So the Lord did not want his associates and the people in Navadvip to get a bad name. So he made a common announcement. Everyone can get it thrice. So this way, the people were also happy and they were also not criticized. So let's see what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had. The most magnanimous, see how he calls him? He calls him the most magnanimous. The most magnanimous, Sri Gaurasundar, gave instruction to give the Brahmanas pan, betel nuts, garlands, and sandalwood 3 times, so that those Brahmanas who had received once can come back again can come back again, but they did not have to come back again in different dress to receive these items. Why were they coming back in different dress? Because they felt that, someone will criticize them. So let me act like I'm going for the first time. That is the reason they were changing their dress and they were coming. Now the Lord said it's okay for everyone to just come as it is 3 times. So that way he reduced the stress on these people. So that these Brahmanas will be satisfied and all their desires will be fulfilled, and unscrupulous persons would be checked from condemning them as illegitimate greedy cheaters, because everyone would start gossiping, right? If they came back again and again in different dresses and if they got caught. So like this, the Lord was trying to be very, very nice to everyone. The second line of this verse indicates that if one cheats or deceives others to usurp something for himself, then from the spiritual point of view, that is a fault or a sin. Therefore, this act is certainly immoral. But henpecked persons who never fail to externally condemn others' immoral activities of lying, cheating, and deceiving, while they themselves do not hesitate to lie, cheat, and deceive for the pleasure of their dearer than life wives, and furthermore, they openly justify such activities as soon as such people hear the statement, Yena kenapi upayena mana Krishna niveshayet. Somehow or the other, one must engage his mind in the absolute truth, Krishna, or see the behavior of those who follow this statement. They immediately scream, morality has been transgressed, and in this way they exhibit their pride. So the second part of the statement talks about these people who criticize. These people who criticize, who find fault in others, they themselves are not perfect. They are liars, they are cheaters, they have so many flaws in themselves, but they are ready to actually find fault in others. If somebody else comes and receives something for the second time, they are first ones to stand up and say, oh, look at him, he's so fallen, he's coming back again and again. But are they perfect? They are also not perfect. So that is what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying. So Nimai Pandit, he wanted to avoid all this. In every wedding, we all know there is so much of gossip and fault finding. So Nimai Pandit wanted to avoid all of this. And he said, let everybody freely, in whatever condition they are, just come back again and again and take. So that I don't want unnecessary people to criticize anybody who's coming to this wedding ceremony. Viprapriya prabhura chitira ki khata tina bara dile purna haibe sarvata being affectionate to the Brahmanas, the Lord considered, if they are given 3 times, then they will be fully satisfied. Very nice. Tina bara pai sabe har shita mana satya kari ara nahi layako na jana. All the Brahmanas were very happy to receive those gifts 3 times. So none of them further tried to cheat. So nice, right? So the cheating propensity was also removed by Sri Gaurasundar. He told them, it's okay, you can come 3 times. So sometimes, by Srila Prabhupada was very, very merciful. He gave rules and regulations, but he never said stop sense enjoyment, because it is unnatural to stop sense enjoyment. But it is natural to have it curtailed, to do it in a limited way, in a dharmic way. So we all eat, in our Vaishnava tradition, nobody says you should be fasting all the time. We are allowed to eat, but we are allowed to eat Krishna Prasad. So like that, gradual sense control is recommended. So similarly, Lord Gaurasundar, what he is doing is that he wanted to enjoy. He said, okay, you can enjoy, but you control that enjoyment. Come 3 times, but do it honestly. So that's how the Lord removed this cheating propensity, but still he allowed them to come 3 times. E mata malaya chandana kuya pane haila ananta marma ke hana hi jane. In this way, no one could understand how the Lord was served by Ananta Sage in the form of garlands, sandalwood paste, and pan. So the Lord was very beautifully decorated, and the Lord was served by Ananta Sage. How was he served by Ananta Sage? Because Ananta Sage is actually the one who becomes the garland, the footwear, the bed, everything for the Lord. So Ananta Sage serves him non-stop. In this way, Ananta Sage himself, he came and he served the Lord during the wedding ceremony in the form of garland, sandalwood paste, and pan. Ananta also means innumerable. So the Lord was served by innumerable amount of garlands and sandalwood paste and all of these wonderful items. मनुष्य पाइला यतात से ताकुरा दूरे पृथ्वी ते पड़िल यतदिते मनुष्य मनुष्य रसे यदि प्रकट लोकेरा घरे हैता ताते येति तना पंचविभ निर्वाया. What to speak of the gifts that people receive? If the gifts that fell on the ground during this distribution were collected, it would have been sufficient for 5 marriages. They can imagine the opulence of this wedding. Buddhimanta Khan and Mukunda Sarkar, they took great efforts in making sure that everybody was fully satisfied. The number of garlands, the number of sandalwood paste, and everything that was given during this marriage was so much that even if people by mistake they dropped it, whatever was dropped was enough to conduct 5 different marriages. So this was the opulence of the wedding ceremony, the Adivas ceremony. Sakala lokera chitte haila ullasa sabebale dhanya 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 adivasa. Everyone's heart was filled with ecstasy and they exclaimed the Adivas ceremony was glorious. So it's a very important aspect when we conduct a festival. We should make sure that everybody is satisfied, everybody is happy. You see, in those days, they would conduct big yajnas, they would conduct big sacrifices and festivals. In all of them, the chief factor of success of any ceremony is how satisfied everyone who comes there is. So that's why it's mentioned that even the dog eater, and everyone else should be fed sumptuously. It is not enough that if you take care of the elite members of the crowd, every single person must be happy and they must be satisfied. So like this, here during the Adivas ceremony of Lord Gaurasundar's wedding, each and every person who had come there, their heart was filled with ecstasy and they all exclaimed openly, this Adivas ceremony was glorious. So it is important for us to take care of our guests and make sure that they are happy when they come for any ceremony. Laksheshwara odeki yachi yena vadvipe hena adivasa nahi kare karo bhape. we have seen such an Adivas ceremony performed even in the houses of the wealthiest men of Navadvip. So the word Laksheshwar refers to those who possess 100,000 gold coins, that is 1 lakh. Even in a person who's a Laksheshwar, even he couldn't have performed such a grand ceremony. So that was the comment that everybody was passing when they had attended this beautiful ceremony. Emata chandana mala divya goya pana akatare ke hap kabu nahi kare dana. We have never seen anyone distribute sandalwood paste, garlands, and pans so indiscriminately. Here we go. Tabe Raja Pandita Ananda Chitta Haya Ailena Adivasa Samagri Laya. Who's the Raja Pandita? Anybody? The Raja Pandita now enters. Who's the Raja Pandita?
Vishnupriya Devi's mother.
Yeah. Correct. Very nice. Vishnupriya Devi's father. Very nice. So Sanatan Mishra. Beautiful. Thank you. So now comes the father-in-law. So while this Adivas ceremony was happening, the pandal was done, the Adivas began, and while everybody was receiving these nice gifts and they were receiving pan to chew and they were having a good time, at that time, joyfully, Vishnupriya's father, Sanatan Mishra, he arrives. Now, let's see the reference for these ceremonies. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he writes from the different scriptures about the Adivas ceremony, how it has to be performed. Regarding Adivas and Gandha Sparsha, basically Adivas ceremony, the main thing is Gandha Sparsha. Gandha is Chandan, Sparsha is to apply. So what is done during the Adivas ceremony? They have Gandha Sparsha, they have chewing of the betel nut and offering of garlands. So regarding the Adivas and Gandha Sparsha, it is stated in Srimad Gopala Bhatta Goswami's Sat Kriya Saradipika. Thereafter, the activities of the Adivasa are described. One should collect suitable ingredients and duly perform the Adivas ceremony, preferably at dusk or else in the morning. The ingredients for Adivasa are clay from the Ganges, sandalwood pulp, a stone, rice paddy, durva grass, flowers, fruits, yogurt, ghee, swastika, sindhura, conch, kajal, urine, cow urine, mustard seeds, and a piece of gold, piece of silver, piece of copper, ghee lamp with a mirror. One should also have fragrant aguru powder, yellow cloth, a brahmana thread, and shamara, and a chadar for welcoming the groom. So now Sanatan Mishra is going to enter and he is going to welcome the groom into into the rituals. That is, he's going to welcome his son-in-law and say, you're going to be my son-in-law. So that is the ceremony that happens. First, the guests are honored and then the bride's father comes and he does a formal welcome for the groom. Thereafter, while holding clay from the Ganges in one's hand, one should chant the mantra. Let the auspicious ceremony of Gandha Sparsha or applying sandalwood and Adivasa be performed. And after offering these items to Lord Vishnu, one should offer them to the bridegroom and the bride. It should be done like this everywhere by chanting mantras. One should thereafter have the bridegroom and the bride offer prayers. Then one should touch each of the groom's limbs by chanting mantras and offer him 4, 5, or 7 burning ghee lamps. One should perform the Adivas ceremony for a bridegroom and bride according to this procedure. So that is what was being performed. First, the guests were welcomed. They were seated comfortably. They were given everything. Now, Sanatan Mishra enters and he is going to worship Gaurasundar. And how is he going to worship Gaurasundar? He's going to offer all of these to Gaurasundar. So this is the procedure. Holding clay from the Ganges in his hands, he would chant the mantra and then he would offer all these items to Vishnu and then he would chant mantras and he would offer them on the limbs of Gaurasundar, and then the bride and the bridegroom together, they would offer prayers. So that was the next part of the ceremony. Vipravarga, Aptavarga, Kari Nija Sange, Bahuvida Vadya Nritya, Gita Maharange. He came accompanied by Brahmanas, family members, musicians, dancers, and singers. So everybody accompanied Sanatan Mishra, who came to offer his daughter and welcome his new bridegroom. Veda Vedi Purvaka Paramaharshamane Ishwarera Khanda Sparsha Kaila Shubhakshane. Following the Vedic injunctions, he then applied sandalwood pulp to the Lord's forehead at an auspicious moment. At an auspicious moment. So the word Ishwarere refers to Mahaprabhu Gaurasundar. So he is our Ishwara. Tatakshane Mahajaya Jaya Kari Dvani Karita Lagila Sabe Mahastutivani. At the time, there arose tumultuous singing and glorification of Lord Hari, and everybody started reciting mantras. Pativrata Ganideya Jaya Jaya Kara Vadya Gita Haila Maha Ananda Avatara. The chaste women then made auspicious sounds of Uludvani and singing and praying of musical instruments filled the entire house with ecstasy. So it was getting more and more wonderful as Sanatan Mishra was entering this arena and honoring Gaurasundar. Henamate kari adi vasa shubha kaya grihe chali lena Sanatana Vipraraja. After completing the Adivas ceremony, Sanatan Mishra, the king of the Brahmanas, returned home. Ei mata giya ishwarera apta gana Lakshmi rera karila Adivasa shubhakshane. Meanwhile, the Lord's family members went to the bride's house to perform the Adivas ceremony there. So just like how the groom's side, they have everything getting ready, they have the pandal, everything is ready, and then there is an Adivas ceremony for their friends and family. Similarly, on the bride's side, on Vishnu Priya's side, there are also these arrangements. So now what happens, just like a Sanatan Mishra goes to the house of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then decorates him and worships him, similarly, the people from Mahaprabhu's side, from Nimai Pandit's side, they actually visit the house of Vishnu Priya Devi and they welcome the bride. Ayayata kichu loke lokachara bale donahari sabakari lena kutuhale. Family members of both the bride and the groom are also perform the rituals that were in current practice. Lokachara refers to the worldly tradition or family customs or ceremonies that are not based in Vedic injunctions. So Lokachara, whatever was the tradition in their family, they were following that. Tabe suprabhate prabhu kari ganga snane age Vishnu puji Gaura Chandra Bhagavan. Early next day morning, after all this Adivas was done, after all the Pandal festival was done, the next day, early in the morning, Lord Gaurasundar, he woke up and he went to bathe in the Ganges and he worshipped Vishnu. Tabeseshe sarva apta ganira sahite vasilena nandi mukha karmadi karite. So the Pandal ceremony was over, Adivas ceremony was over. But there was another festival called as the Nandi Mukha Karma festival. Now this is a tradition in Bengal to perform the Nandi Mukha ceremony, and it is performed even to this day in Bengal tradition. But the Nandi Mukha ceremony is actually described in the Gaudiya Bhashya of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So let us see what this Nandi Mukha festival is. I'm not sure if it could be that many other cultures also follow the Nandi Mukha ceremony. So let's go through what the ceremony is all about. And then let's see the recommendation for this time and age by our acharyas, whether we should follow this Nandi Mukha ceremony or not. If we follow, how we should follow. Should we follow it the way it was done some years back, or are there some changes? So that is what we are going to see in this commentary. The word Nandi Mukha Karma is a combination of Nandi, which is a Nandi, sorry, not Nandi, Nandi or glorification or good fortune, and Mukha, which is the principle. So Nandi is glorification and Mukha is principle. Nandi Mukha. Nandi is auspicious and Mukha is beginning. So it's basically an auspicious beginning. Just before the wedding, this particular ceremony is followed after the Pandal ceremony and after the Adivas ceremony. Now, what sort of ceremony is this? This ceremony is an elaboration of the Shraddha or offerings to the forefathers. You're all aware of the Shraddha ceremony that happens, right? So it is very similar to that. Why is it done during a marriage ceremony? It is done to invoke the blessings of the ancestors. So the ancestors are honored and the ancestors are requested to actually bless the groom and the bride. That is the reason this Nandi Mukha Karma is actually performed. So this ceremony is an elaboration of the Shraddha or offerings to the forefathers. The offerings are made to one's father, paternal grandfather, paternal great-grandfather, maternal grandfather, maternal great-grandfather, and maternal great-great-grandfather, as well as one's mother, maternal grandmother, maternal great-grandmother, maternal great-great-grandmother, paternal grandmother, and paternal great-grandmother. So up to 3 generations. Traditionally, they do this Shraddha ceremony. For those who have performed Shraddha, you would know that at least 3 generations you make offerings, both on the mother's side and on the father's side. So that is how it is traditionally offered, the Shraddha. So when one offers oblations for their satisfaction is called as Nandi Mukha. So basically, you're inviting the fortune, the blessings of all the ancestors. It also refers to the beginning of an auspicious ceremony or an extended Shraddha ceremony. A compiler of the Smritis has stated, one should properly offer oblations to the forefathers through the rituals called as the Nandi Mukha. A householder should worship the forefathers through the ritual called as Nandi Mukha on auspicious occasions, like the marriage of sons or daughters, the formal entry into a newly built house, the name-giving ceremony of a child, the hair-cutting ceremony, the Garbhadana ceremony, the ceremony of seeing the face of one's son for the first time. So like this, there are many, many auspicious ceremonies in one's life, many samskars in one's life. During all these ceremonies, before the beginning of the ceremony, it is a tradition according to the Smriti Shastra that one invokes the blessings of the ancestors. However, Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who is the author of all the Vaishnava Smritis that we follow, Gopal Bhatta Goswami has given us what we need to do. He has written in a Sat Kriya Saradipika, Vaishnavas should not perform the ceremony out of fear of committing offenses against the holy names. In order to satisfy one's forefathers, one should remember Lord Vishnu, worship the spiritual master, and give cloth and foodstuffs and charity to the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas according to one's ability. In this way, one's forefathers will automatically be satisfied. So the tradition in any Vaishnava Sampradaya, at least as ordered by Srila Gopala Bhatta Goswami, and that is followed today, is that we don't technically follow this Nandi Mukha ceremony. Rather, we honor Lord Vishnu before we commence any function, any program, be it a wedding ceremony or be it a Garbhadana ceremony or a hair cutting ceremony or any of these formal ceremonies. So we invoke the blessings of Lord Vishnu and we honor the Vaishnavas. So it is not necessary because we directly worship the Supreme Lord. And if we worship the Supreme Lord, obviously everyone else is automatically satisfied. So that is what we are being taught, right? So by worshipping Vishnu, by watering the root of the tree, the entire plant is nourished. So like that, we begin by first respecting Vishnu and offering all obeisances unto him. So they are performing the Nandi Mukha ceremony. What was happening in the Nandi Mukha ceremony? Vadya Nritya Gita Haila Mahakola Hala Chaturdike Jaya Jaya Uthila Mangala. Musical instruments, Vadya, Nritya, dancing. They were singing Gita. They were singing and they were creating a huge tumultuous sound, Kolahala. And on all sides, the sweet sounds of triumphal rejoicing arose. Everyone, Uthila Mangala. So they were invoking auspiciousness, by creating beautiful sounds of all these instruments. Purnagata dhanya dadi deepa amra sara stapilena ghare dware angana apara. Water pots, rice, paddy, yogurt, ghee lamps, and mango leaves were placed inside and outside of the house. These are all auspicious items seen in any auspicious ceremony. Chaturdike nana varne udaya pataka kadali ropiya bhandi lena amra shaka. On all the sides, various colored flags waved and strings of mango leaves were tied to beautiful banana trees. You can imagine the kind of decorations that were there. Tabe ai pativrata ganalai sange loka achara karitya lagila maharange. Mother Shachi and other chaste women then began to perform various rituals that were in current practice. So the women folk, they were in charge of performing various ceremonies during this time. And one of the important ceremonies that were performed at this point in time was the worship of goddess Sashti. Now, who is this goddess Sashti? So that is what we're going to see. Age Ganga Pujya Para Mahashamane Tabe Vadya Bhajane Gelena Sashti Sthane. Shachi first happily worshipped the Ganges, and then she went along with a group of musicians to worship goddess Sashti. So, who is goddess Sashti? How do we worship goddess Sashti? For the description of Shashti, we should refer to the purport of Adi Khanda, chapter 4, verse number 19. So let's see how they worship goddess Sashti. The same thing was done during the marriage ceremony of Lakshmi Priya Devi as well. It is also a tradition in Bengal to follow Sashti Puja before performing auspicious events like a wedding ceremony. So how did they perform this? They went for a bath, they worshipped the river Ganges, they sing and play musical instruments, and then they worship Ganga and they worship Shashti. So this Shashti is actually an imaginary village goddess. You must have seen in villages under a tree, usually, a form of a Devi is made, like a Linga Roop or a Devi Roop is actually created with the help of some turmeric or some mud, basically clay. They just collect this and they form a goddess out of it and they start worshipping that goddess under a tree. So Sashti is an imaginary village goddess. This imaginary village goddess is worshipped in order to ensure that the child would not die early but would live up to 60 years. Even during the birth of Nimai Pandit, even at that time, the Sashti Puja was actually performed. So why did they perform this during the birth time? Because they wanted the child to live a long life and not have any obstruction in the any major diseases or major obstructions that is caused by different elements. So people say that goddess Sashti is to be worshipped on the 6th day after the child is born. This is part of the Nishkramana Samskara, the occasion of coming out of the maternity room. The word Sashti Sthan refers to the place beneath either a peepal tree or a banyan tree where goddess Sashti is seated on a cat holding a newborn child on her lap. So this is the imagery that's made. They have this goddess seated on a cat holding a newborn child in her lap. This Sashti Devi is there are no obstacles in the way of the person for whom puja. So what did they do on this auspicious day? They worshipped the Ganges, and then they worshipped Sashti, and they were getting ready for the marriage ceremony. So, Pujita be bandhu mandir lokachara karila aila nicha ghare. After worshipping, she went to the house of her relatives, where she performed the rituals current practice before returning to the house. The phrase bandhu mandire houses of relatives and friends. Worshipping Shashti, she went to all her bandhus' houses and they did the different rituals. Tabe kahi kala taila tambula sindhure diya Karilena Sri Ganire. Thereafter, she satisfied the women with puffed rice, banana, oil, and vermilion. Vermilion, the Sindhu. So she gave all of this to all the chaste ladies in Navadvip. Dravya Haila Asankhya Shi Osa Bara Panchashata influence multiplied unlimitedly. Repeatedly gave gifts to each and every woman. So there were gifts that was given to everyone in everyone's house. The ladies all have taken bath in oil. There was not a single woman who did not feel complete. Everybody in our beach were nicely honored. They were everyone was so satisfied. And the last verse for today. Mahananda Lakshmira Bhavani Lakshmira Janani Karilayani. Meanwhile, in great happiness at the house of Vishnu Priya, her mother performed the various rituals in current practice. So this was all happening in the morning. So what did we see so far? We saw the Panda ceremony. Then we saw the Adivas ceremony, right? The Adivas ceremony where everybody was honored. Adivas was performed both in the house of Nimai Pandit as well as in Vishnu Priya's house. Mishra, he went and he visited Nimai Pandit and honored Nimai Pandit. Similarly, the family members of Nimai Pandit, they went to Vishnu Priya and they welcomed Vishnu Priya. Then they took rest. Then they performed other pujas and other things. And then she goes from one house to the other and she gives ample gifts to all the chaste ladies. So this is also a tradition in India that before the marriage ceremony begins, they would actually go and honor all the chaste ladies of the town. They would call at least, like 12 or maybe 6 to 8 ladies, and they would give them different things. She gave them rice and she gave them vermilion and all of that. So like that, all the Sumangalis generally, they are all honored before the wedding actually begins. Because something called as Sumangali Prarthana, where they pray to all these Sumangalis, the ones who are married and a good life, that the couple should also live together for a long time. So all these different festivals were actually performed. The ladies and the other people there, they were feeling complete satisfaction. Obviously, it is the wedding of the Lord, right? It should be. And the influence of the Lord, the ingredients were collected, never diminished. It just kept multiplying more and more so that everyone could be satisfied to the fullest of their hearts. So like as much as Shati did everything for her son, similarly, Vishnu Priya's mother, she also honored all the Suman Shashti Puja. She did everything that was needed so that her daughter would get married off very nicely. From tomorrow's verse, we will actually take a sneak peek into Sanatan Mishra's house, what was happening in this house, and how the actual wedding ceremony begins, and how Vishnu Priya and Nimai Pandit get married. So we will stop here. We are stopping exactly on time. And I know it was just reading the verses and meditating. I didn't have anything much to talk about. No big commentaries. So I'm just trying to get a feel of how. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Haribol Preethi Vilasini Mataji. This was really very wonderful, Mataji. So nice. It was just like seeing a movie. You enjoy while you were seeing also. So in between you were saying that what is it? Some forefathers ceremony. What is that, Mataji?
The forefathers ceremony, Nandi Mukha. It is a
Nandi Mukha.
The ancestors.
And Shashti Puja is praying to the goddess.
Yeah, goddess. Yeah, the goddess Shashti, so that there are no obstacles and everything is good. Especially
okay.
why we see this. That's why the reference is given to that chapter 4.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mataji. That was really so wonderful. Very nice narration. It was just like seeing some movie in front of me, the way he narrated. Thank you so much for that, Mataji.
That's our author. So much.
That you made some sound, right? What is that? Kulavi Satam we say, right?
Yes, Kulavi Satam. Yes.
Kulavi, I don't know.
I can make it nicely, but the Bengali people, they do a great job. So
yeah, now also in villages, that sound we can hear, Mataji. Very nice. When some ceremony is there, important ceremony in villages, they do so well. It hears so loudly. We cannot do like that, but still, it's very nice. You did so well, Mataji. Very well.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for this beautiful class, beautiful narration. Some months back, we witnessed the Lord's wedding with Lakshmi Priya Mataji, and now with Vishnu Priya. It was so beautiful. You took us there, and it was as though we were physically sitting there and seeing the Lord. Thank you for this fortune. I really like the point where you said the Lord was so merciful to the Brahmanas. He allowed them to come 3 times. So what he was actually thinking was that they should not get the bad name of cheating. So today morning also in Srila Gurudev's class, he was saying something similar to this. And he was saying the Lord's external activities we may not be able to understand many times, but it is his inner mood. Let me say what he said. He said his inner mood is always great mercy, and he's always thinking of our well-being alone. So that is the Lord, though it is his wedding, he is thinking of the well-being of all the Brahmanas in Navadvip. So, and even that Nandi ceremony, we do that ceremony, but I never knew all these facts behind it. Thank you, Mataji.
Nandi ceremony is done. I didn't know that.
Generally, they call it Nandi. I don't know what they do before weddings and all that. It's done.
Like one section.
Mataji, I think it's Nandi Homam we do. Yeah, during marriage we do. Yeah.
Wedding, at least I have seen, like my wedding. Done.
Nandi they do for Janoi, for the Poonal. Nandi.
Oh. Yeah, okay. I thought it's only for parts of India. So, okay, thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
It was wonderful, Mataji. It was wonderful, so nice.
Just read.
Right from the beginning till the end, it was so nice. And you also read the Bengali things exactly like a Bengali only you read. And that one of the instruments that is actually violin, along with that flute they have put. No, they call behala and other some that's called behala, violin. Along with the shanai.
I was trying to tell Nadatwaram.
Nadatwaram, right. So
like
that
instrument.
That Bengalis they nice. That all the Bengalis did out so nicely they do. So that's I'm from Bengal now, 21 years in Bengal. So all the childhood.
Oh, nice.
Bangla খুব পরিষ্কার কথা বলতে পারি, সোনার বাংলা. And actually, Prabhupada wanted everyone to learn Bengali because we are from Gaudiya Sampradaya and we have to go to Gauranga Mahaprabhu. We must learn Bengali. And if you learn Bengali, the Chaitanya Charitamrita becomes so nice, so more wonderful.
Yeah, it becomes.
You did fantastically. You did so nice. All Krishna's mercy and Guru Maharaj, Nadalat Maharaj mercy. Hare Krishna Mati. All the best.
Thank you. Yes, Prabhu, Nara.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you again. Such a nice narration. Mataji, I just wanted to ask you, you were talking about Shashti. Sometimes in the calendar we see this event or day, Lalita Shashti. Is it the same or what is Lalita Shashti and is it the same as Shashti? Can you please clarify, Mataji?
Technically, Lalita Shashti, there was some there is some confusion actually about Lalita Shashti. Initially, when it was there in the calendar, it was supposed to be in honor of Lalita Sati, but unfortunately, there was some confusion, and they had adapted Lalita Shashti, goddess Lalita Devi's, festival and they put it in the Vaishnav calendar. It was a confusion and they are trying to move it now because it doesn't make sense. That is one thing. Yes, it has to do with Lalita Devi, Durga. Whether it is the same as the Shashti Devi of the villages, that I don't know. But Lalita Shashti, there is some confusion in the Vaishnav calendar that they're going to correct. I hope it's corrected already. Maybe last year it was corrected, I'm not sure. GBC wanted to correct it. It has nothing to do with Lalita Shashti. Is that what you're asking, Prabhu?
Thank you, Mataji. I don't know what is Lalita Shashti, but thank you for clarifying. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it could be related to some form of Durga. Obviously, I mean, I don't know if the cat, this is the one on the cat and who's removing obstacles, the same as this. I don't know, but definitely it's a Bengali tradition. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji. Go ahead.
Megha, Mataji.
Please accept my humble obeisances, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. This was such a wonderful, very sweetly narrated pastime of the Lord's marriage ceremony. It was very wonderful. As Anita Mataji said, it was like a movie playing in front of my eyes, the way you narrated that. So it was so beautiful. One question I have about the Shashti, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but in Gujarat traditions, there is something called, after this or on the sixth day, we say there is a Vidhata who comes and writes the whole life story of this child. So that sixth day, we actually put a plain white cloth and a pen, or in the back of in the days, it was just that like the feather and the ink kind of thing we used to put, so that Vidhata is writing the whole life story of this child on that sixth day. So I don't know if this is similar to the Shashti that you were talking about, because I know you also said that it's the protection of the child, that they live a long life at least. Do you know anything about that, Mataji, or anything? Is it similar?
Yeah, it could be in one sense, because when we talk about this, they also tell that that is the day that actually the child, I think the cord is cut or something. That what the commentary also spoke about what all happens on that day. First, they talk about the goddess itself and the puja that they do for the goddess. She's an imaginary village goddess. She worshipped in order to ensure that the child will not die early and will live a long life. Okay. People, goddess Shashti has to be worshipped on the day after the child is born. And this ceremony is Nishkramana Samskara, the occasion of coming out of the maternity room. Basically, mother is coming out of the maternity room. Days the umbilical cord is cut and all this is happening. There is a ceremony that is performed, right? So in the beginning of the ceremony, the Shashti goddess is, and then they continue with ceremonies, like you said, like they write with the entire life. This would be happening on the sixth day. So I believe they're all connected.
Okay. Nice. We're very wonderful. Thank you so much, Mataji. Very well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very beautiful. Of course, the Lord's marriage ceremony is something to look forward to. And it was very beautifully narrated by you. And I had a question on this Mukunda, the Mukunda Prabhu, that character. Is it Mukunda Sanjaya?
I thought Mukunda Sanjaya, yeah.
So is it the same personality who gave Lord Mahaprabhu the area for his classes?
Looks like it is the same person.
Okay. I was
the neighbors, like in the previous verse, when we spoke about Buddhimanta, Sanjaya, right? Mukunda Sanjaya, right? That's the person of Sarkar. Yeah.
Mm.
So it talks about the person. Yeah. Because they're all neighbors, that's how the verse begins.
Okay, so it need not be the same personality who gave the Lord space for his classes, because he used to teach the kids in another Mukunda Prabhu's home, right? I think that was Mukunda Sanjaya.
Maybe.
Not,
I don't.
okay, I don't know. But wonderful session, Mataji. Can you also, I missed this the part on the where you were explaining what the Adivas ceremonies importance is. Can you please shed some light on that, Mataji, or repeat that?
Oh, Adivas ceremony is just a mark of beginning, and it is performed before the actual event occurs. So Adivas ceremony, they just welcome the guests, chandan and pan and garlands and that.
Okay, it's a preparatory ceremony, just that. Yes. Thank you so much, Mataji. Wonderful, wonderful class. It was so beautiful to hear, and that too very auspicious beginning to the new year. And hearing straight from you. So nice. After a long time, actually. It's been a month, I think, since you gave a class. More than that. Haribol.
Yes, I believe Mukunda Sanjaya was the same person. Let me check this for you. Because Mukunda Sanjaya and this Buddhimanta Khan, they were actually they were close by, so it could have been the same place as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'll check this for you, Mataji. I don't remember, but I'll check this for you.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Mataji, wonderful, wonderful narration. So beautiful to hear by my ears. All occasion come on my eyes, come front on my eyes. It's very nice the narration you did, Mataji. I felt like that, oh, yeah, we see like whatever Mataji says, like a movie. So we are looking, watching that ceremony. It looks like so beautiful. You were. And Shashti, I was going to tell you, but same thing, Megha asked you that same question. So I now knew about that Shashti Puja. So it's very wonderful, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
For your association.
Hare Krishna, Preethi Vilasini Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for such a beautiful, beautiful class. And as everybody was saying, we could see the whole ceremony in front of our eyes. And also, especially when you're making that sound, Urudvani, that was so nice. And the other thing was funny is like how the Brahmanas were trying to come and take the gift again. In the big marriage ceremonies, always till now, there should be one person. How many people are coming and taking twice? There is one person to check whether it is going to the right person or not. Did the person came the twice or not? When I was able to recollect all that. And it is so nice, Mataji, about the Sasti Mata. When we went to Ekachakra Dham, that Prabhu was explaining what is this Sasti Tala, the place where after the delivery, the woman is going to stay there with the baby. After that, they will go to the place in the regular room to stay. And that room is called the Sasti place. Like he was explaining all that story behind it. And also Sasti Mata protects the baby. The cat, when he was explaining like how the cat comes in front of us, so it is sent through Sasti Devi, sends that cat so that we stop a minute, so that bad muhurta goes away, and then we go. That's how the Sasti Devi protects by sending cat in front of us. So then he was explaining, the Prabhu who took us to that place was explaining all that. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for sharing this directly from Mayapur Dham. You have given the reference and you have shared. Thank you, Mataji.
Hi, Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, as everybody said. that it really it felt like the marriage ceremony is happening, and all the minute details which you mentioned. It was like, yes, they are really happening, and changing dresses and coming back for the new gifts. And and it's really so like wonderful to see. I always have this question, I ask my Prabhu also about this, like like as we say that we have been taking so many lives, like we have been taking births for so many lives. So would it be possible, I know we are not that fortunate, would it be possible that we were there sometime in that age, maybe as an ant, maybe as a bird? I don't know as what.
Maybe, yes. Think of
But
it.
then if we were there, then we wouldn't have taken birth now, right?
Even if we were.
I know it is. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said maybe we were not in the same vicinity, like not so close where we could have been.
In association, right? It is really nice to hear at least, all these pastimes. And thank you, Mataji, for taking time and explaining all this. It's really, really grateful to you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
For logging in from India. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Very, very beautiful class. Very nice narration. You could see the whole pastimes happening in front of our eyes. Very nice. Very beautiful narration, just like grandma. You always tell very nice stories. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Nice to have you here. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, can I ask one last?
Very nice, Mataji.
Mataji?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, one doubt I have. You were saying that they were carrying bitter nuts, that box, right? So was that allowed at that time?
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Allowed betel nut and pan. Only thing is, it should not have intoxicating element in it, but it's allowed. See, as practicing devotee, train from certain things, but generally in a festival and other things, it was definitely allowed. Even to the Lord, we offer betel nut, and as long as you don't have those intoxicants, traditionally.
Okay, but not for us, right?
Refrain. Don't want to get too. These are all called as bhogya vastu for enjoyment. So we don't want to do any. That is the principle. That's all. Okay.
But we don't use tobacco in that. That okay. We don't do. That is the only thing. That normally people, karmi people, they use.
Exactly.
The Vaishnavas won't use.
As well not use. Exactly. Toxicant elements in it, like Prabhuji said, like toxic and other that we don't. But even to the Lord, we can offer the nut. Of course, because it's a vastu, you don't indulge in it. So we should have that discrimination.
Okay.
Yes, it's not allowed for it's a bhogya vastu. That's why. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And yeah. A quick question. Indu Mataji, were you talking about Mukunda Datta by any chance? I was just trying to see to answer your question.
No, Mataji, Sanjay.
Okay. But he's different. That's why I asked the question. Okay.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji. Anything else?
If nobody has any more comments, can we end the call, Mataji, with your permission? Thank you all devotees for joining, and thank you, Mataji, for giving a very, very nice class. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha
Namo Namaha.
Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Bhagavad ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Preethi Vilasini Mataji ki jai.
Ki
Jai.
jai. Hari bol.
Hari
Hare
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you
Hare
so much.
Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you so
Wonderful
much.
class again.
Gauranga,
Yeah.
Nityananda.
Gauranga.
Gauranga.